The Icons of Real Estate podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Ardor SEO.
Welcome to Icons of Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Patty Teal. You're going to be so thrilled with today's guest. Monick Halm is the founder of Real Estate Investor Goddesses. Her mission is to assist 1 million women to achieve financial freedom through real estate. She's a real estate investor, syndicator, and developer with over 16 years of real estate experience investing in multifamily, industrial, mobile home parks, RV parks, flipping, and vacation rentals. Together with her husband, Peter Halm, she has transacted over 2,000 rental doors and $300 million in real estate in the past 3 years alone. Welcome, Monick.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
I've been excited all day to learn about the great things that you're doing to help women, to help them get into the best investing world. And I really am interested in learning how it has been different for them. But first, we usually start with our guests telling their story, how you got to the point you're at today. So would you mind giving us your story?
Sure. I'll give you the brief story. I did not start out in real estate at all. I'm a first generation American. My family is from Haiti, and my parents always told me, Monick, you can be anything you want, but in parentheses, as long as you're a doctor, lawyer, professor, engineer. Because for them, that was success. That's what success looked like. And I was a good student, dutiful daughter. And of my 4 choices, I decided I would go to law. So I started my career as a lawyer. Really, and I was law firm, partnership track, 6-figure income. I should have been deliriously happy, but was actually really miserable. At one point, I found myself in the emergency room. It was a Tuesday morning, and I'd gone because I was having this really bad abdominal pain. And when the doctor told me that my appendix had ruptured, and I'd be in the hospital several days, I was in the hospital 9 days, and then I'd have at least 30 days at home to recover. My first thought when he told me that was, oh, thank God I don't have to go to work for at least 30 days.
Very telling.
Yeah, that was my next thought was like, oh, wait, that's bad, right? I didn't realize how miserable I was until that moment. Yeah. And I knew I needed to do something else. And real estate found me by accident. The only thing I'd ever been told about real estate is that you should buy your own house at some point. So it's go to college, grad school, get a job, buy a house, put some money into a 401k, work until you're 65, 70, get a gold watch, play golf for a few years, die. Like that was
you were on the track.
Yeah, that was the track. And so I'd been working for a few years. I go, I guess it's time to get that house. And I live in Los Angeles, which is a very expensive market. And this was back in 2005. But even back then, it was upwards of $500,000, $600,000 to just get a starter home in a semi-decent neighborhood, not a mansion in Bel Air or Beverly Hills. For people who are in much more affordable places, they're like, yeah, how much is that? So I couldn't afford to get much by myself, but a friend of mine who was in a similar boat suggested that we buy a duplex together. And the original idea was that we'd have a property with 2 equal sides, but we ended up falling in love with this old Craftsman that had a larger downstairs unit, a smaller 2-bedroom apartment upstairs, and then this 1-bedroom. It was a converted garage that was in a 1-bedroom apartment. So we each took a bedroom in the bigger unit, and then we rented out our upstairs, rented out our back house, and we even rented out our basement and started house hacking before I knew that was a thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. People are paying my mortgage. This is great.
Yeah.
And when I met my husband, he had a duplex. And the short story is that after 2008, um, when the market crashed, we ended up selling one of the duplexes. And even before that, we got married in 2007, and I was pregnant at the beginning of 2008. And I told like the week after I told my boss that I was expecting, he called me into his office. I thought I'd get a big bonus because I've been working so hard, working past midnight, like most nights, and instead I got fired. Yeah, so I thought I would wait until after I gave birth, took a short maternity period, and then I would look for another job. But my daughter was born in late August of 2008. Within a month, the market was in free fall. The job market kind of disappeared. It was a terrible time to look for a new job and a gift. Super hard, stressful, emotional time for us, financial time for us, but the real estate that we'd had before saved us. So we were able to sell one of the duplexes which my husband had bought in 94. So it still had a lot of equity in it. And we used that money and we started flipping houses when houses were on sale. And then in 2015, I learned about bringing groups of investors together to purchase larger property syndication. And we started doing that in 2016. And then we really scaled. So that's how I got into the real estate game. And then when I started doing syndication, so we're bringing groups of investors together, and that's when I got very serious about the real estate. I started to do trainings and to learn more. And one of the things that I was told is, you're going to syndicate, build a brand, build a network. Who do you want to work with? And also when I was in a course learning about this in a seminar, and it was a weekend seminar, and there was 120 people in the room. Maybe 8 were women.
Wow.
And I joined this high-end mastermind with my husband, and there were 20 people in the mastermind. Well, there were the two like leaders, 18 others. So I was with 19 men, like me. I was the only woman. And it came as this divine download that I needed to bring women into this room. In between doing the lawyering, when I lost my job, for a long time, I'd actually studied the divine feminine, the differences between the masculine and feminine. And I actually became an abundance coach for women. So this is what I was doing before I started and so it just came as a divine download to bring that all together, bring the abundance coaching, bring the women into the room, bring women into real estate. And my mission to help 1 million women create financial freedom through real estate came to me at that time. Not the how of it. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to do it.
Right.
But the what of it came, and I just came as this full body yes. Like this feels like this is what I'm meant to do. And Real Estate Investor Goddesses was born from that.
Oh gosh, I love that story. And you look so happy. I know your story was so telling. Can you imagine being like happy? Oh, I get to rest. I get to be in the hospital. That kind of is very telling that you were in not the right space for you.
I was not in the right space. And I remember being in that hospital bed thinking, like being so relieved and thinking, what other organs could I get rid of? I know I don't need tonsils. Like, spleen? Like, what does that even do? Do I need a spleen, a gallbladder, kidney? I know I only need one. Like, how much more time can I give myself?
Oh my gosh.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah. So back in those early days when you were starting to learn about investing and you looked around the room and realized you were the only woman or one of very few, why do you suppose that so few women had entered that space?
I think there are a few reasons. One is that a lot of women just don't even think about real estate investing as an option for them, it's something to do. I was in that boat. That's who I was. It's not that I didn't want to. It just didn't even occur to me because that was like successful people have successful jobs, like
Mm-hmm.
doctor, lawyer, professor, engineer. Like that was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
to be a real estate investor. It's like that's not something.
Wasn't on
It
your
wasn't even on
radar.
the radar.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think for a lot of people, that's what happens. For a lot of women, it's just not something we're taught or
Mm-hmm.
to even think about, to even try to do. We're only taught to trade our time for money, and so
Mm-hmm.
we're taught to get the best job we can, but not to create passive income streams, not to do that. So I think that, and part of my mission is helping shift that awareness, because that's like when I talk about financial freedom for a million women, I define financial freedom as having enough passive income. So that's money that comes in that's not tied to your time, like
Mm-hmm.
like rent, right? So you put in a tenant, and whether you're working another job, you're on vacation, or you're sleeping, that money's coming,
Mm-hmm.
without you having to do anything. So you want to have enough passive income streams that it equals or exceeds your expenses. At that point, you're working because you want to, not because you have to. And that's freedom. Like,
Absolutely. I totally
so,
agree.
but
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't taught that simple concept
Oh,
to even think
I wasn't either. I can hear about it and go, oh, yes, that's what I
it makes
want.
sense after you
I
hear about
haven't
it.
done it, but yes, I want to do that. That sounds wonderful. I definitely
Yeah.
want to be a part of your group. As we move
Yes.
on, we'll hear about that.
Yeah. So the other
So,
reasons
yeah,
why somebody might not do it is they might then know about it, but then not know what steps to take.
sure.
So it's like, yeah, that would be great, but how do I get started? And then
Mm-hmm.
the last one is they made they know about it, they know what steps to take, but they're afraid.
Okay.
A lot of fear that comes up, especially for women, because of the way our brains are wired, this like cave woman brain. For men, investing is a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like a game. For women, we perceive it as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of fear that comes up, and fear that we might lose it, fear of it might be taken advantage of, fear of wrong people to trust, and all that fear can keep us from getting in the game. So
Mm-hmm.
dealing, like knowing it's there, knowing it's possible, knowing what to do, and then having the right mindset and psychology to do it. That's the key to getting in the game and being successful.
Well, that makes perfect sense. And I wanted to ask you, I bet, because you know so much about the divine feminine and you studied it even before you got into this field, that women in some ways are very good at this kind of thing and have some advantages. And I wondered what those are.
Yeah, we actually, when we're in the game, we tend to have the 30% better results
Wow.
than men on average. So we're actually very good.
Hmm.
And part of what makes us really good is the interpersonal skills.
Hmm.
So the relationship skills that we have as women. Also, there have been studies like women like working with other women better,
Hmm.
and men like working with other women with women better.
Oh,
So
that works out very well, doesn't it?
it does. In a lot of ways, both men and women are wired to trust women more. So, and real estate's a relationship business. So having those relationship skills and being just and considered more trustworthy and a better potential partner is a real advantage. Also, I believe everybody has intuitive capabilities, but women's intuition is a real thing. We have these connections between our hemispheres that men do not, and women are very intuitive, and that intuitive sense, when we follow it, not
Hmm.
all of us can trust it or follow it when we receive it, to our detriment, but when we do, it's actually a very, very powerful tool that we have.
Hmm.
So our relationship skills, our intuition really help us as women. We also, in a weird way, our our natural wariness helps
Hmm.
us because we are more likely to seek expert help. We're more
Hmm.
likely to ask for help we are slower on average to take action, to switch
Mm-hmm.
course. We tend to be a little more thoughtful, and
Mm-hmm.
with our decisions. So, men might take more decisions more quickly, and we're because of that fear we tend to be a little more careful
Mm-hmm.
and ask for more help, and that tends to lead to better decisions.
That makes sense. It reminds me of that old story where men will never ask for directions, when they're lost.
Yeah,
But a woman
we
will certainly
do.
do that. Yes.
Yeah, we ask for help. And
Yes.
when you're
Right.
doing something new and big, especially real estate investing, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably the most expensive, most money anybody's ever going to spend on anything. Um, then it's really wise to seek
Right.
counsel and to have help and have assistance.
Yeah. And it strikes me that it's not uh, women trying to be like men, as you said. They're using their own skills. And some men could be very successful, but we don't necessarily need to go down their road.
No, and in fact, there are certain things that will really hurt us when
Mm-hmm.
we try to show up as men.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so one of the things is this, like, no pain, no gain, man up, muscle through, like sort of
Mm-hmm.
trying to knock through the walls,
Mm-hmm.
as more of a masculine way of doing it. The feminine, we don't do well when we try to muscle through. We do much better when we pleasure through. Because
Mm-hmm.
actually pleasure is the path for us that will lead to much more success. So really getting into the place of how can we make this feel good,
Mm-hmm.
and just keeping ourselves pleasured and in touch with that, that which feels good, sparks joy, that helps
Right.
us.
It even
Um,
could affect the way you ask for an appointment or a sale.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a woman in her pleasure is so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
because a woman who there's a belief that women are weak, and they can be weak if they're trying to manipulate others, or they're like, but if you're really in tune with what feels good for yourself, and you're making this ask from that place,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily even attached to the outcome,
Mm-hmm.
but there's people, especially men, are wired to want to help. They
Right.
want to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we show up and we ask for that help, and we really in tune with what we want, and we're just appreciative of getting it, it's a really powerful place to be. So that is great for women. But if we try to show up like men,
Mm-hmm.
um, it doesn't feel good for anybody. Also, being super competitive. From our cavewoman days, where the man would go out hunting, they could work by themselves and quiet, just focused on the prey, uh, kill, and then bring that home. Women who were gatherers, we had to work together. We had to be able to signal to each other, those berries are poison, don't go there. Or there's a tiger lurking there, we have to watch each other's back. Or can you watch the kids while I gather? And so that we have, from way back when, we're wired for collaboration, cooperation, co-elevation. There's an abundance in the world, and we do better when we work together. But unfortunately, if women are showing up from that competitive paradigm, which is more the masculine side, it can be fun for them to fight and challenge, and they'll do it just because they can get just more, and they win, and that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Not that some women don't enjoy that, but showing up competitive, especially with each other, feeling like there's not enough opportunity, or and so she can't have it, only I can be, there's
Right.
only room for me at the table.
Mm-hmm.
That just, it ends up frying us, and you
Yeah.
can get some success, but ultimately you're not much, and it's not going to feel very good.
Yeah. And I think for all of us, men and women, that's kind of coming from a place of lack. It seems kind of an old-fashioned paradigm. There's
Yeah,
enough for all of us, and we'll do better if we share our resources. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So move forward. You had all these wonderful revelations. You discovered you'd already knew how different women were and how their divine feminine could be a powerhouse. When did you start your first group of women real estate investors, or when did you start helping them?
Yeah. So our first cohort got started in the beginning of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So of the podcast, Real Estate Investor Classes started in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And there I was just bringing in successful women, real estate investors, highlighting their story. I think for a lot of women, we don't even think about this as an option because we don't see people who look like us that are real estate investors. It's not something that we really can see that a lot of women think of as possible for them
Mm-hmm.
or likely.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing in different women, different ages, different backgrounds. So I've had some that started, some that were born into it,
Right.
others started at 18 and had nothing, others that were homeless, others that were
Wow.
grandmothers before they
Mm-hmm.
started, and everything in between. And it's just so people know, gee, does she looks like me, reminds and like her story is similar to mine, or her story is not like mine, but gosh, she had so many obstacles. She could be
Right.
successful. I can too.
Right. It must be so
Yeah,
very gratifying to see. I guess we call them your student goddesses. It must
yeah,
be very gratifying to see them change their lives for the better.
it is. That's what I live for,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. So when there's a goddess, when they get a deal, when they're able, I had this one goddess who in the first year she got pregnant and they're in the program, and it was towards the end of the year we get on a call. They see what's their how things went, and we were on this call and she was just about to go off on maternity leave, and she was so excited
Mm-hmm.
because she'd created enough passive income
Oh.
that she
Mm-hmm.
did not have to come back to work after maternity leave. And this was
Wonderful.
her first kid. She was able to be the mom she wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be at home with her daughter, just and doing real estate as she desired, but having created that financial freedom, that time freedom for herself. And stories like that, right, are everything. Like that's what I live for.
I bet. And do they
Yeah.
share their stories on your courses or on your podcast? Can we hear some
Yeah.
of those?
Yeah. So I have them on my YouTube channel. So we have a Wealthy Goddess of the Month series.
Oh,
So we pick
nice.
different
Mm-hmm.
goddesses and who'll share just their success and
Mm-hmm.
what and their lessons learned.
That's wonderful. And if people are listening, I could imagine them saying, "Oh, I want to be a part of that." I know you mentioned the YouTube channel. What other ways are there do they have to become a goddess themselves and get training from you?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is to go to our website, reigoddesses.com. So REI for real estate investor, goddesses.com. And there you can find out about our programs or tune in to find out about the podcast, our free trainings, events, all the things that we have coming up.
Yeah. And another thing that you mentioned is that you work with your husband. And how does that complement the two of you working together?
Yeah, we've been doing real estate investing together almost since we met, well, since we got married for sure. And there were times when it did not work as well.
Hmm.
And then we've learned how to work a lot better together. And not just that, but how to use it to create even more intimacy in our relationship. And it's been really incredible. Um, this journey that we've been on, and we work together. He supports me on the face of Real Estate Investor Goddesses, but he's our COO.
Hmm.
So he's doing operations, and then we have a separate investment business that he runs,
Hmm.
and um, it's been a great journey. We do have separate lanes, which we had to find out how to do.
Yeah.
At first, we were kind of all both doing the same things and
Hmm.
overlapping, and that was not very productive. And then we created particular roles, and we we've just built this business that provides a lot of joy for ourselves and our family. And
Oh, so
yeah.
happy for you and for all the women that you've helped. And I just want to read something from your website. It says, "What is real estate investor goddesses? We are the antidote to the old boys club. We are education, mentorship, and a sisterhood of women using feminine principles to create passive income streams and financial freedom through real estate investing." So that just says it so beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I do want to mention some of your other many, many accomplishments. You've been a TEDx speaker. I imagine we could find that online as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Put my name in TEDx and you can find
I want to
my
do
talk.
that. A strategy mentor, a Huffington Post contributing author, as you mentioned, an attorney, certified interior designer, a Feng Shui expert, avid world traveler, wife, and mother of 3 amazing kids. You are definitely an achiever. I don't want to say overachiever because you look very happy and not stressed, but you are an achiever. My goodness.
I love to learn, and I love
Mhm,
I don't watch TV or movies really, hardly ever,
mhm.
but I love reading and learning new things and new skills. And I've always been particularly obsessed with learning how, what creates success. I've just always wanted to help myself and others be more successful. So if there's, you know, if you tell me feng shui will help, or I was like, okay, let's learn it. Let's
Yeah,
do
and it's
this.
all fun stuff,
Yeah, or
and it,
being,
yeah,
yeah, or they're
yeah.
just different creative things that draw me. So, and I like, yeah, I like to play and learn.
Are your kids very young still?
No, so I have 2 birthdays this weekend. So the oldest and the youngest. So the oldest is turning 26.
Oh my goodness.
No, 27. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
And
I know
the
it's
youngest,
shocking. My kids are older than that, but I'm just like, I can't believe I have kids that
I
age, you know?
know,
When did that
27, and the
happen? I
baby's
know.
turning 14
Uh-huh. So the
tomorrow.
older one, do you think she'll follow in your footsteps? I'm sure in some ways.
She does have real estate investments already.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So she has a couple. Those
Mhm.
and passive investments, and then another active investment.
Oh,
She's
that's
already
great.
has some real estate, and the youngest and we're getting her investing too.
Yeah. Well,
And
you've
then
done so
my
much.
boy is in the middle. He's 23.
What do you think? You've done so much, but what are your goals moving forward?
So goal is still to help 1 million women.
Yeah.
And I'm on that path, and we have about 33,000 women in our pipeline right now. So still got quite a ways to go, but we're
I have no doubt you're going to get there.
so that's the big goal. And
Hmm.
then, just have goals of no, things are really good. It's just how do we, just get even better.
Right, right. So, any last words for women out there who just need to overcome that fear and take that first step?
Yeah. So I was reminded that fear and excitement are actually very similar. Fear is imagining the future and imagining a negative outcome. Excitement is imagining the future and imagining a positive outcome.
Ah,
And so they're both imagination exercises, but where's your focus? Right?
yes. Hmm.
So, and it's like your excitement's just on the other side of that fear.
Hmm.
Often your fear is directing you to where you want to go. And
Hmm.
it's just like, oh, I want to go this way, but have a positive outcome from that.
Right, right.
So fear, to just, it's helpful to envision that positive. And
Hmm.
another thing that from Gay Hendricks, who wrote The Big Leap, in that book, he says, excitement is fear with breath. Basically, when
Oh,
we're afraid, we
I
stop
love that.
breathing.
Hmm.
So just breathe through it and
Yeah.
take a baby step.
I love that. I love that. Well, I can't thank you enough for being on our Icons of Real Estate podcast. It was a very special interview for me, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. I know that our viewers and listeners will love it.
Thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
Thank you.